Hey everyone, Jeff Snyder back here, and we're doing something a little different today. Got to sit down with the lead singer of Sublime, Jakob Nowell. This was a very big honor for me. You know, Jakob has taken over the mantle of Sublime after years and years away. His father, Bradley, was the lead singer of Sublime. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1996 when Jakob was a baby. But now Jakob has reunited with his uncles, Bud and Eric, to put on some shows, and they actually released a new song recently called "Feel Like That." We got into that. We also talked about Jacob's other projects and the influence his father had on his career, and just how he kind of got to this point in his life. So this was really fun to do. I hope to do more music chats here in the future, but right now, let's get into it. Lead singer of Sublime, Jakob Nowell. Point Break Festival coming to the Virginia Beach Oceanfront at 5th Street on June 1st and 2nd, 2024. I'm joined by right now, and this is a huge honor for me, the lead singer of Sublime, Jakob Nowell. How you doing, man?
Thank you, man. What's up? How's it going? Good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. So, first of all, have you been here before? Have you been to Virginia Beach at all?
Yeah, I've been there on tour. I just played there with my band, Jacob's Castle, on tour with G Love and Special Sauce. It was a lot of fun, man. I love it out there.
Oh, all right, awesome. Very good. So yeah. So before you came back into Sublime, you had your own musical projects. So just kind of tell me about that. Just tell me how like that path on those projects kind of led you to where you are now, taking over a huge role like this.
Man, I mean, it's really crazy to think about it all coming together in this way. Yeah, I've been in a bunch of different music projects and a bunch of different bands and that sort of thing. And obviously, my solo project now, Jacob's Castle, is my passion. I never thought I'd be doing stuff with Sublime, but it sort of just happened organically. Um, my uncles and I wanted to do a charity event for HR, and then turns out we had a good time playing together. And once I got everybody together like that, I realized it was part of my calling because it is a legacy thing, it is a family thing, it is a multi-generational kind of deal, and I don't want it to sit there and stagnate and kind of sit in the wayside and get forgotten. I want it to be something that people can interact with, the families can go to and relate with in that regard. Because when we play these Sublime shows now, it just the proof's really in the pudding. And even in the Jacob's Castle shows that I play myself, uh, it's all ages, all eras, all types of folks. It's just bringing so many different people together. It really feels like a beautiful thing, and it's something I wish my father could be here to see. And it's I feel really lucky and honored to get to be a part of it. So yeah, to answer your question in a huge long roundabout way, I think it was happened unexpectedly and organically, and I'm really grateful for how it did come together.
Yeah, you mentioned you called them your uncles, Bud and Eric.
Yeah.
Obviously you have a good relationship with them clearly if you're going right back into it. But they have been playing all of Sublime songs for the last however many years now, 28 years since your father sadly left us. But what was it like, kind of like seeing, like, you know, they played with Rome for a long time. What was that like, kind of like seeing all your dad's songs performed by somebody else, and that now you kind of get to take that mantle?
They Eric performed with them for a long time, but Bud wasn't in Sublime Throne for very long actually. But I always figured, as long whatever, it's their song, it's my Bud and Eric's songs, whatever they want to do with it, I'll support, and that's righteous. It was always weird seeing another person sing my dad's songs and trying to like have it be like they're Sublime like that. Eric is, but all the other stuff, it just felt so weird. These are people that I didn't grow up around, that were never part of my family, that I never knew. And that's not to disparage them in any way. They're all very talented musicians, and anybody who enjoyed that music or that experience, that's their prerogative. But for me personally, it was always sort of like a strange emotional quandary. There was always mixed feelings when it came to that. But at the same time, as long as it was keeping, there was sort of always this narrative of, oh, it's keeping the dream alive for the fans, keeping so and so alive for the fans. I think it becomes only so true to a certain point. At what point does this original thing that Sublime was sort of become changed in a way that is almost unrecognizable to what the original fans are that helped Sublime get to where it is. At what point does it morph into something different? And I think my uncle Eric shared that sentiment. Like towards the end, Sublime at the Rome was, they were a very track heavy band, and they were just this huge big setup, and they were only playing, like white boy reggae type events and that sort of thing. And I think it just sort of became very different than the original idea of what those three guys made all those years ago. And again, I have nothing against tracks or big bands or putting in all that effort and pomp and circumstance into production. I like to do a lot of that stuff for my own band, Jacob's Castle. However, I just think with Sublime, it sort of started to change a lot. And I think my uncle Eric and Bud, they both started to crave that kind of authenticity, almost like that messiness. So come see a Sublime show now. I'm sure we could always be more polished and it could always be a bigger production, but we sort of put all that to the wayside for the idea of just like, do you want to come out and have like a good time with a bunch of guys who are like a big family, and just have good, messy punk rock fun up there. And that was an element that I always was missing, that I wanted to see from that live set. So for me, getting to be a part of it, I don't think it's funny even saying like I'm the lead singer of Sublime. Like I don't consider myself Sublime or the lead singer. I just got asked to fill in on this gig, and I got asked to play some music with some people I care about a lot. And because it's this just close knit family thing, it adds such a different element to it that I think people really key into. And man, it's so much fucking fun.
Yeah, it looks like you're having a good time. I did watch your live performance at that charity event at the end of last year.
Thank you.
And you guys it just seemed like it just seemed right. It seemed right. It seemed unpolished. It seemed like Sublime, and it just felt it felt like you kind of belong there, honestly. So
Thank you, man.
yeah, absolutely. So you had obviously your father, he left us when you were very, very young. But I could still hear in your voice you were very influenced by his music. So how did you essentially kind of work your own path that way while still like keeping his influence in your music and in your voice? I mean, like you guys sound very similar.
Thank you. Yeah, it was almost hard not to be influenced in that way. For one, there's a genetic element to it. A lot of times I don't sound like him, and it just happens naturally. I guess that's sort of the proof when it comes out. I always figured my dad might have been the milkman or something, but I guess it might not be the case now. And then there's also the element of, my mom would play the music often as I was growing up, but no more so than any other music that she liked. Because it was very hard and emotional to listen to the music of a past family member. That's why it's tough for me to learn these songs, and why they're not always going to be entirely perfect, because I'm an insanely busy guy, but at the same time, just turning on the music's like an emotional battle and roller coaster. Like you're sitting there like trying to be professional, like, okay, what are the chord progressions? What are the melodies? What are the sounds that I'm trying to utilize here? And then you realize you're like dissecting the work of a family member who's no longer with you, when you never really knew. And that's a pretty interesting and heavy emotional experience for sure, though I try to take it as it comes. That being said, having that music around growing up, it was there, but not more so than any other music we would listen to. But I think just growing up in California, it's hard not to absorb some of the DNA of Sublime. It's really everywhere you look, and I think that's the beauty of the band, is they influence so many different bands, so many different genres. Odds are, if you like California music, you like Sublime without even knowing it. So when I went to go write songs, in a lot of ways, it just sort of came out very similar, I think, whether it was my approach to guitar or vocals or whatever, or maybe he and I were just similar in regards that I can't even fucking fathom. But one way or another, there's always going to be this similar little throughput. So instead of trying to ignore that comparison or stray away from it or try to do something super left field, I want to integrate it all organically and holistically. So for Jacob's Castle, even though it's not, old school Sublime stuff, it is drawing from a lot of music from that era and trying to honor the past while looking towards the future. And when I come into the Sublime sphere and sing those songs, I'm always trying to, emulate and get close to that classic vocal sound, but still do it me, because no matter how close you get to an album sound, you're never going to please everybody. And I think that would be kind of antithetical to the spirit of what we're trying to do here. So, yeah, hope that answers the question.
Absolutely does. So, I go to karaoke's and stuff like that. And, I don't think I could go to one karaoke night without hearing Santeria or What I've Got or whatever.
Yeah.
So what's that like for you, knowing that, people not even like, your dad's age, but people like our age sing these songs and they resonate with them to this day, even all these years later.
Oh, it's crazy. And that's really what blows my mind is like people will oftentimes just assume like, oh, we playing these Sublime shows, the crowd's probably, like all the old school fans, all the older heads and stuff. They're there, but for every one of those, there's an equal amount of like a college kid or a teenager or someone's young kid. Like people really still connect with this music. And that is just so like, it makes me feel like familial pride. Like I get so like, man, I'm so proud that like my dad and my uncles could like make music like that it stand the test of time. It's so crazy to see that. Yeah, karaoke song, talk about a sometimes after shows and stuff, like people, if you end up like at a bar or something, they got like karaoke, they're like, you should go up, Jake, and do a Sublime song. And I'm like, that's so weird at the karaoke, but every now and again, a beautiful lady convinces me to go up. And
hey man, that's usually how I end up on the stage.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Many such cases. And it is a funny one because it's just like me karaokeing Bad Fish or something is just it's just such a funny image. No one knows. It's sort of like this just it makes me laugh, makes me smile, a little joke on the whole thing. You gotta laugh through it for sure.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of songs, for the first time in 28 years, Sublime has a new track out. Stick Figure produced it. Your dad's vocals are on that track.
Yeah.
What was it like? Talk me through the process of making that track, and what was it like when you heard the finished product, hearing you and your dad together on the same thing?
Oh, it was crazy. It was so wild. Again, something I never thought I'd do. But it just came together in a natural way. My uncle Miguel, who was in Sublime, and he had all these old school unreleased, cool Sublime shit, and we let our buddy Stick Figure Scott use them and make a really dope song out of the samples from that. And eventually it came time to, I wanted to get on and he wanted to work with me. And so we brought all that to my Jacob's Castle laboratory in San Pedro, California, right next door to Long Beach, right across the bridge, at my boy John's studio, John Joe's studio. And that's where I do all my Jacob's Castle stuff. And it was so cool bringing like both, something classic from my dad's, something from Stick Figure's world, and then bringing it all into my world to do my vocals and add my element to it. It was just like this fun, dope, collaborative process that felt really cool. And the end result, I'm really proud of. I think it's a song that's grown on me a lot, and we've been getting great feedback on it. And for me, it just feels like just the beginning. I would love to collab with more artists of all different scenes with unreleased Sublime material and some of my own stuff, and just make it feel like this big music collective. I feel like that's what Southern California music's always been about, and we really want to bring that back in a big way.
Is that what you want your legacy to be with your involvement in this project? Because obviously, I mean, your dad's a legend. Obviously, it's going to be hard to. It's always hard for the son to kind of live up.
It is.
In sports, you see that in music, you see that in TV, just anything. So what do you want your legacy to be with this project?
That's a great question, man. Yeah, I agree. You have to it is always hard for the second sons of the world and daughters of the world to sort of eclipse, or you always have this like, oh my, am I gonna do better or outdo or beat my parent or whatever. And I think that that's sort of looking at it in the wrong light. I think the only thing that limits us is our own imagination with everything in life. And so you're never going to moment your parent. If your parent was someone who had this musical, let's just talk specifically in music, this musical legacy moment, this changing era of sound, sure, you could have something similar to that, but it's almost like, why would you want to? You're never going to out moment your parent. You're never going to out frontman them or out sing them or out guitar them. Let that be their thing. I want to do something different, and in a lot of ways bigger, not bigger or better or whatever, but more collaborative. I want to challenge myself and challenge my imagination. Like, okay, how can I further the work of my family while also staying true to myself and satisfying my own artistic needs and creativity. And I think a big part of that is going beyond the self and not making it about me. Oh, can I do better? Can I do this or that? All of that jive just exists in comments on the internet. That isn't reality. I think your suffering has ended when everyone else's has. So I don't want to rest until I've created a big enough, cohesive enough and holistic scene where people can feel like they're having fun, multi-generational familial fun, so this kind of stuff that can transcend a giant tragedy, that can bring people together throughout time. And that sounds kind of weird and esoteric and kind of heady, but what I'm trying to say here is the more that you collab with people, and the more that you just see new fans and old fans coming together both and just singing the same songs together at the shows, the more that it all starts to make sense. I never wanted to do this, but as soon as I saw my uncles smiling and hanging out again together for the first time in years, and I brought the team together of all these people who used to work together back in the day, and I just felt that vibe, I realized that was the juice for me. It wasn't about me becoming some life-changing singer, figure, entertainer, or whatever. That's all fine and good, but I want to see my friends and family have a good time. I really mean that.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. That because you're probably is some little bit of pressure on you, but I feel like you're handling it very, very
lots of pressure.
well here.
Yeah. But that's the name of the game, man. That's what I signed up for.
Absolutely, dude. So Point Break Festival, you are headlining Saturday, I believe.
Yes.
With yeah, and then got some good names on there. Good bands leading up to you, and I think Wiz Khalifa is going to be there too.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? He was playing all the time on the radio when I was growing up, man.
Yeah, man. When I was in college, he came. I went to a school in Pennsylvania, and this is right as he was getting big. He did like a 3-song set at my college just randomly one day, and
no way.
That was cool. Yeah, it was pretty sweet. But yeah, so I noticed, I looked at your schedule here. You don't have too many shows planned yet, but it seems like you guys are probably gonna get booked a lot more. And I know you have other projects going on. So just how excited are you to just bring this to everybody in just different cities all across the country and maybe even the world?
So excited. It really is only just begun. The sky's the limit, and I want to take this thing to the stars for sure.
All right, man. Point Break Festival is on Saturday, June 1st and 2nd, 5th Street at Virginia Beach Oceanfront. Sublime headlining on Saturday. Jakob Nowell, if you don't have anything else to add, I think we're good.
Check out the new song, Feel Like That. Come have a good time at the Sublime Point Break set. Check out Jacob's Castle and Enter the Castle, streaming everywhere. And if you come to a Sublime show, just know this: every time after the show, I always run out into the crowd and kick it with everybody. So come kick it and say hi to me at the show, please.
The man of the people right here, everybody. Jakob Nowell, lead singer of Sublime.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining me, man. This is really awesome.
Thank you, man. This was a ton of fun, and yeah, stoked for the show.
All right, man. You take care of yourself, all right?
You as well, man. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
You just heard from the lead singer of Sublime, Jakob Nowell. They're coming to the Point Break Festival on this weekend, June 1st and 2nd, 2024, at 5th Street at the Virginia Beach Oceanfront. So if you're seeing this before then, you can head on out there and see them on the Saturday. That's June 1st. That was a great conversation. I learned a lot about, Jakob and his life, and, how his father influenced him, and, how much of a family it seems like he has with Bud and Eric, the other main members of Sublime. So that was just really cool to hear, hearing his influences as a musician and all that stuff. And of course, they have a new track, Feel Like That, which just came out, I believe, this week, which has both Jakob and Bradley on it. With the power of technology and the power of sampling, it's really cool. Stick Figure produced that. And it's a good track, and it seems like it's getting a lot of positive response from fans. Everyone seems very, very happy with it. Seems very just excited that Sublime is back after 28 years. The Sublime that they remember and the Sublime that they love. So that was just a great conversation. So hope to do more music chats in the future. That was a lot of fun. But until then, take care. We'll see you next time.